everyone! Today I'm going to be doing two videos because I'm probably not going to be here Saturday, so without further ado, let me get started. For this Friday, in particular this Animation Friday, I'm going to be taking another fan request and be discussing my favorite Disney shorts. Now, a while back I did a video where I discussed my favorite silly symphonies, and some of these things might overlap because some of these are classified into the silly symphonies category. But I am more focused on trying to discuss Mickey Mouse, Goofy, and Donald, and so forth in my compilation here, as opposed to the traditional silly symphonies. However, there is one that I will mention in the way beginning that involves more of a silly symphonies approach, because again, we don't have a lot of the main characters that we've grown to know and love. So this is sort of an extension of my silly symphonies video, except I'm going to be titling this my favorite Disney shorts. So without further ado, let me get started. The one particular short that I really find myself enjoying when it comes to Disney shorts in particular is the Skelton Dance. I think it was very creative when it came out, especially for how old it is. And I like how there's a lot of personality with these skeletons. And I think that's what makes the short in particular so interesting. Sometimes they're goofy, scary, intimidating. Sometimes they're playful, they're innocent. You know, you'll see that they'll just dance around together and be all merry. Then at points they'll just look really intimidating and creepy. And other times they look playful and they kind of just goof around. So there's a lot of personality that I think comes out of these skeletons. And I think that's why this short in particular, in my opinion, seems to be fairly likable, is because it executes itself in a way that's really human, even though we're watching skeletons. And I also like the fact, too, that not only are they scary, but they also do get scared, and you'll sort of see how that happens towards the end of the short. But I really think that it's a really good and well-executed short, and I wish I would have mentioned it in my silly symphonies. However, I don't think I was fully exposed to it during the time. So I think it's definitely a classic cartoon, and it's definitely, I think, one of the more recognized Disney shorts. So I think that's definitely worth checking out if you're interested. Now, the next one I'm going to mention is called Lonesome Ghosts. This one I find to be very engaging and a lot of fun. And, excuse me, and apologize for sneezing. And I find it to be very creative in how it approaches things. Because in this particular short, we've got, you know, your major players here, Mickey, Donald, and Goofy, and basically they're basically a earlier version of the Ghostbusters. They are basically ghost hunters, I guess you could say. And the ghosts are the ones that actually end up inviting them to come inspect a house and let the comedy and fun ensue. And that's really what this short in particular focuses on. And what I really like about this short is just how funny the premise is, how cute it is when the characters are exposed to these kinds of situations. And I really enjoy the ending, too, of just them unexpectedly winning against these ghosts and their trickery and their pranks. So it's definitely a short, I think, worth considering, and you really do see the personality that comes out, in particular how Donald reacts to, you know, him being pranked by the ghosts, how Goofy reacts to being pranked by the ghost, and how Mickey does. You'll see how there's various reactions, and that ultimately brings out a lot of the character's personality, and I think it adds a lot of value. So I think it's definitely a short worth considering, and I'm sure that Ghostbusters probably had an influence somehow in regards to this short, because this short did come out before Ghostbusters was like in the 1930s. So I think it only makes sense that they would draw some kind of inspiration from it. And I think it's just a lot of fun to watch, just because of how fun it is in regards to the characters, and how the premise overall is really interesting, because this short did come out really early on in like the 30s, so I think it only makes sense that they would try to do something a little bit out of the box, and I think this was really out of the box during the time, and even Ghostbusters, I think, derived some influence from it. So ultimately, I think that's definitely worth considering, and I would consider it to be one of the more better of the and best of the Disney shorts, in my opinion. So the next one that I'm going to be briefly discussing is called Building a Building. And this is where basically Mickey Mouse is building a building. And the interesting thing about this short is how sort of Minnie plays a role in this short. She comes up in the way beginning and hands out these like lunches to all of the workers there. And basically it's kind of like her business, you know, she has like a little cart. And then she encounters Mickey, and then some comedy and intimidation ensues with Pete. And what I like in particular about this short is how Mickey and Minnie sort of work as a team together, because there is a point where Pete kind of gets angry and decides to take advantage sort of Minnie. And you'll see how she and Mickey together sort of, you know, defend each other, because even at one point, you know, Mickey's pretty much getting himself beat up, and Minnie helps him out a little. So there's a lot of teamwork going on in this particular short that I've noticed. And I really like that essence of teamwork, because I think that teamwork's really important to emphasize to everybody, regardless of what the relationship is. But I think teamwork really does bring out the character in a lot of people. So I found that to be really cute, and I also like the ending too, of how instead of it just being her business with her carrying all of the lunches everywhere, she puts like Mickey's name too. And it just goes to show how, you know, such a simple cartoon can express so much value and importance to this aspect of teamwork and of inclusion and of appreciating each other. So I think that's definitely worth considering and recommending. So I think that's ultimately, though, all I can say about that short. The second to last one that I wanted to briefly mention is Mother Pluto. This one I think is another more famous short. What I really enjoy about this one in particular is how not only does it put Pluto in like a different setting than what he usually is in. Usually he is getting himself handed over, and you almost feel really bad for him, in a similar way that Donald does, I guess, with having certain antics happen to him. But in this short in particular, the antics do sort of happen, but ultimately Pluto gets to fulfill this kind of parental role with these chickens, or these little chicks, and it's just so cute. It's just unbelievably, like, just adorable just how He bonds with these little chickens and how he kind of helps them out, and it might not make a whole lot of sense, the short, but I think at the end it does emphasize the kind of importance of parental guidance and help, and how ultimately that guidance and help results in you being appreciated by those that you're guiding and helping. So I think that's really emphasized within the short, and you'll see this, and if you choose to watch the short. So I think definitely worth recommending for kids and adults. It's very cute, and it has a lot to offer. Now, the last one I'm going to briefly mention is Hawaiian Holiday. And in this one, there's not really a whole lot of focus. It's not trying to have really sort of a plot. And I kind of like that. I think that's a little bit more, I guess, refreshing, because usually there's always like a plot kind of involved with a lot of the Disney shorts. You know, like some antics ensue and then there's a resolution. But in this short, it's just kind of all of your favorite characters, except Daisy. Daisy's not in this one, because you got Mickey, Minnie, Pluto, Donald, and Goofy. And basically, in this particular short, they're probably in Hawaii, otherwise the title wouldn't be Hawaiian Holiday. And it doesn't really focus so much on Mickey and Minnie and Donald, more so Goofy and Pluto, and they have these little plot elements that happen to them. And they're just, I think, really entertaining to watch and just fun and just kind of random. But I think that's what makes this short in particular unique, because it is kind of just random, and it's intended to just kind of be just, you know, relaxing and getting to see the characters sort of enjoy themselves and have some goofiness happen to some of them. And yeah, I think ultimately that's kind of what the short is about, and I kind of like how it's just intended to be sort of a detour and not really intended to serve a final resolution like a lot of the other Disney shorts. So I guess that's why I would consider it to be one of my favorites, and I think it's also one of the more popular shorts too. So yeah, I think though that's ultimately all I can say about all of these ones. However, if there are any questions, comments, concerns, I'd be more than happy to answer them. But I think ultimately that's really all I can say about them. I'm more than happy to hear your favorites. I mean, there's a lot of Disney shorts out there that have come out over the years, so it's really hard to really necessarily narrow down some categories, or try to nail down not only categories, I guess, but also the different aspects of each short, because again, there are just so many. So it's hard to really necessarily say what shorts are better than others. Just through my research, from what I was able to come up with, these were ones that I found were really fun to watch and be engaged in. But I'm sure everybody's got their own opinion in regards to this subject. But I think ultimately that's really all I can say. But if there are any questions, comments, concerns, I'd be more than happy to answer them. But until next time, everybody.